Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Administration, Finance, and Fire Committee meeting number 8. Today, I am your chair, Jason Trombetta. Due to the efforts of COVID-19, protect all individuals, the council chambers will not be open to the public to attend any standing committees or council meetings until further notice. The public may submit comments for matters that are on the agenda to jsheemy@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public. And then the meeting will be recorded and available on the township's website within 48 hours. We have a land acknowledgement statement. On behalf of the members of council and staff, we wish to acknowledge this land on which the township of West Lincoln operates. The land on which we gather is traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg people and is still home to many indigenous people today. We are grateful to have this opportunity to work here today and follow the Haudenosaunee system of blending laws and values and the Anishinaabe beliefs to strive and live in harmony and balance throughout the municipality. We acknowledge that we are all treaty people and accept our responsibility to honor our relations. Moving on to item number 3, is there any change, members of committee, of orders of items on the agenda? Seeing none. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest? Seeing none. There are no presenters or appointments tonight. Anybody in the gallery? Roberta, request any items on the agenda?
Seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Okay, perfect. Consent agenda items, move on to. Item A62-21, consent agenda items. The recommendation administration, fire and fire committee hereby approve the following consent agenda items. Items number 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are hereby to receive for information, and item number 5 be hereby received, and the recommendations contained therein are adopted. I need a mover for that. Mr. Mayor, seconder, Councillor Ganan. Anybody like to pull any of the items? Councillor Rayner?
Yes, pull number 5, please.
Yes, okay, so I'd like to pull, so I need to vote on all 1 through 4. All those in favor? 1 to 4, and that carries. Now, Councillor Rayner, you pulled item number 5.
We need a mover and seconder.
Yes, moved by second, need a seconder. Mr. Mayor? Go ahead, Councillor Rayner.
Thank you. Through to the clerk, Joanne Shimmy. We had the individuals here speaking about the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee a couple weeks ago. And it was at that point that I learned, initially, I believe when we did this way back when I first started in 2003, we did it because we felt it was important and it was the thing that we needed to do in order to support our community. Then I found out a couple of weeks ago that it changed and it became the law. Is that correct? And was it like 2006 that changed?
Madam Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Rayner. Yes, that is correct. The legislation came into place in 2005, I believe. Our agreement initially started in 2004 in anticipation of this legislation coming in, and they're much more involved coming up in 2025, where not only for public sector, but also now private sector. So it's growing every day with respect to accessibility.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, back to the clerk. Then I have 2 further questions then. It is now law mandatory that we have to do this. So the first question I would ask is then why, I thought it was always brought forward because we want to see if the township of West Lincoln would still like to continue in the vein that we first started, which was, yes, we are concerned and yes, we would like to see something done and we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because somebody stuck a gun to our head and said we had to do it. Now that we've got that, the question is, why is this in front of us if it's mandated we have to, or is this just we can pick which consulting group we are allowed to use, but you have to pick a consulting group? Can you clarify that for me, please?
Yes, again, through the chair to Councillor Rayner. Yes, that is correct. We have the consultant, Donna Harrington, provides assistance to the municipalities. So unlike having a staff person who is well educated in the system and understands the rules and regulations with respect to the Ontario Disabilities Act, she provides that expertise to us. She provides that to 7 municipalities in Niagara region. We have an agreement, and that's what this is tonight. That's in front of you is the agreement to hire Donna for another 2-year term at $10,000 each. Personally, I think it's great value. Donna is very well versed in the legislation. She provides assistance to us continuously. She provides assistance to the committee, runs the meetings. She keeps us, she does audits and different things like that for us. In fact, the Township of West Lincoln just recently went through an audit, and if it wasn't for Donna's assistance, I don't know if I would have got through it, because it was right during a lot of stuff going on with the vaccine stuff. And so Donna took care of everything for me. It took about a month to get into compliance with everything that we are required under the Act. So again, I don't think without her expertise in providing that assistance to me, I would have understood and got through what I needed to have. Whether it's on our websites, and I know that some of you receive my emails with respect to the policies, and that we had to show that we met certain requirements of the Act.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Chair, through again to the clerk. So the flexibility in the Act is we can hire the consultant we want. We just have to make sure it's done. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I would agree, because we've had Donna right from the beginning. In fact, I don't think her price has changed, and I don't think it ever changed. I think that's always been the rate, has it not?
Yes, that's correct, Mr.
So I mean, we've got full value for that. We've wanted Donna from the beginning. We have no problem with that, and I fully support that. I just didn't know that what I thought was the right thing to do for the township, that we didn't have to, now becomes something that everybody has to do. So I guess there was a lot of municipalities of the 444 in the province of Ontario that didn't do what we thought was the right thing to do, and now they've mandated that they have to do it. That's the only thing I could figure.
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Rayner.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Rayner. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for those responses. We had a mover and a seconder for that, for number 5. All those in favor of number 5, and that carries. Moving on, there's communications, there's none. Moving on to staff reports. Item A, 63-21, Treasurer Director of Finance, Donna D. Philippus. Recommendation report T2621, Capital Financing and Debit Management Policy. The recommendation that report T26-2021 regarding the Capital Financing and Debit Management Policy dated October 18th, 2021 be received for information, and that the Capital Finance and Debit Management Policy POL T01-2021, including the appendices A and B, be approved by Council. I need a mover for that. Councillor Gannon, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Any comments or questions on this item? Mr. Mayor, and then I have Councillor Broderick. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, thank you. And so my question just is, our paragraph 7 talks about thresholds for debt issuance, and it uses the number $250,000. That's not automatic. That's just saying that for anything less than that, we're not going to issue debt. We should be able to manage that. Anything over that, it's still it can go either way. You some projects you might be able to afford up to, and we're not issuing debt for everything above that, obviously. So I just want to make sure that that's the just clarity on that item. And so my question's to a Director of Finance through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. DeFilippis? Hi.
Yes, through you, Councillor Trombetta, to Mayor Bilsma. That threshold was set as a best practice. Where the township share is less than that, we should be funding it through reserves or grants. It's not worth the cost of debt if it's below $250,000.
Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you very much. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Broderick?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Director DeFilippis. Just for my own knowledge, and other councillors may be aware of this because they have been on board longer. When we look at our current situation with the outstanding debt that we have for the rec center, bridge, etc., the interest rates are all higher than what is currently, available in the world, or in Canada, Ontario at least. Is there an ability for us to refinance, break those? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, through you, Chair Trombetta, to Councillor Bradrick. That's an excellent question, and thank you for the question. The debt that we have to date is through Infrastructure Ontario, and these borrowing mechanisms, there's no ability to refinance, and there's also no ability to make a lump sum payment. The schedule is the schedule. The township has to abide by that schedule. The fortunate part is that it is tied in for a long term, so rates fluctuate. Right now, I know they seem high compared to what new debt would cost, but when you look at the 20 or the 30 years that it's amortized over, it probably will average out, but there is no ability to renegotiate.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Broderick. Any other further comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor? And anybody opposed? Is that okay? That carries. Sorry, Councillor Yonker, just a little delay. I just don't want to make sure I give you an opposed vote. So
yeah, the internet out here seems to be a little slow. I think the mayor down the road is stealing it first, and then I get the leftovers from the internet.
No problem. I just want to double check. So that's just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
So I might come to you a couple times just in case. Okay. So thank you. Moving on, item.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah. Moving on, item A64-21, Treasurer Director of Don F. DeFilippis, recommendation report T25 2021, Reserve and Reserve Fund Policy. The recommendation report, the T25 2021, regarding the Reserve and Reserve Fund Policy dated October 18th, 2021, be received, and that the Reserve and Reserve Fund Policy, including Schedule A attached to this report, be approved, and that the working funds reserve be closed at the end of 2022, and that the balances in the accessibility reserve and the recreation reserve be transferred to the facility reserve, and that the accessibility reserve and recreation reserve be closed, and that the balances in the rate stabilization reserve be transferred to the contingency reserve, and that the rate stabilization reserve be closed, and that the arena building reserve be renamed the WLCC West Lincoln Community Center Reserve. I need a mover for that. Councillor Riley, seconded. I got Mr. Mayor. Any comments or questions on this, Mr. Mayor?
So I'm hoping it pulls up soon. I was looking at it this afternoon, but essentially, there's a section in there, and my question is directed toward our Director of Finance. There's a section in there, and I'm waiting for it to pull up, so I'd give you the numbers, but where all the rates look like they're increasing, the cemetery rate and the fire reserve rate, and it sounds like a budget nightmare or horror show, but am I to understand? I think it concludes with a paragraph talking about our 2019, 2020, 2021 increases to the reserve. So if I'm to understand this as a policy, this policy being rewritten in a 5-year increments is basically now going to be more or less aligned with our asset management program. And those increases are kind of back to the 2016 levels that they were, but I'm to understand that in the years subsequent to 2016, we've been making increases to those reserve payments, so that when we're looking at 2022, we're not, for example, looking at a $120,000 increase to the cemetery reserve. Is that am I understanding that correctly, Madam Director?
Yeah, through you, Chairman Trombetta, to Mayor Bylsma. Very good observation. So you have to remember it's the minimum annual contribution. So back in 2016, when this policy was first approved, we had minimum contributions based on the 10-year capital plan at that time. Each year the budget is reviewed. The transfer to reserves is looked at. And for some of these reserves, cemetery is a good example, we have been slowly increasing that transfer because as we get more data, as asset management gets more fine-tuned, we have a better understanding of what our needs are. So with the updating of this policy, we've updated our minimum contributions. It should not be a huge hit to the budget because a lot of these increases have been happening over the past few years. It's just now that it's in the policy, it's updated, and it's a very good guiding document for the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That's all I had. She answered my question perfectly.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyone else, members of the committee, any further comments or questions? Councillor Bradrick?
Just quickly through you, Chair, to Madam DeFilippis, what an awesome work that you put out here. It looks like it must have taken a lot of time to put together, a lot of forethought, a lot of good planning for the financial stability of our township. So I just wanted to thank you and your department for what looks like a lot of work and a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradrick. Any other members of the committee? Any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Opposed? Seeing none. Oh, one. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Rayner. Okay, moving on. Moving on to other business. Item A65-21, CAO Bev Hendry, Communication Specialist Beth Odette. Read Facebook as a tool to help improve corporate communication. And then we have a PowerPoint presentation. So I will turn the floor over to Ms. Odette. Welcome, Ms. Odette.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen here in just a moment. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So I just am here to give you a brief presentation about how we will be utilizing Facebook as a tool to help improve and increase township communications. So just to start off with a little bit of background, the township has previously opted out of using Facebook due to concerns about not having adequate resources to manage it well. That said, when I looked at what we had as of August 9th, there were 4 accounts on Facebook associated with the township. There was a township account set up as a personal profile. There was a recreation services page that our recreations team was using to promote programming and events, as well as the farmers market and harvest routes pages that were specifically promoting those pages. And then moving forward, this is what we're recommending now that we do have the resources to be able to properly use Facebook as an engagement tool. The plan is to transition the current recreation services page to a Township of West Lincoln page. The thinking behind this strategy is that an audience of a little more than 800 people would be a good place to start and grow from. This page would continue to promote recreation programming and services. Plus, it would also then share all other news, notices, and updates from the township. The new Facebook page would be used to get important information to residents, to communicate proactively and prevent misinformation, as well as inspire positivity and community pride and cultivate a more engaged community. This, of course, helps to achieve the goal of improved branding, increased communication, and promotion of local activities, attractions, and events, which is outlined in Strategic Plan Theme number 6. So I'm just going to go through some examples now of what you can expect to see on the new Township of West Lincoln Facebook page. So here are some examples of just updates, notices, and alerts that you would see. So COVID-19 updates, media releases, public notices, road closures, which is a great thing to share to people in advance to kind of give them a heads up so they can plan their routes, job postings, and sharing weather alerts. Another example is informational campaigns. So for example, the website has a great report a concern feature. This is where all concerns officially go through. However, it's not promoted currently. It's just sort of on the web page. So this would be a great way to promote this feature and have people sending their concerns in through the correct medium. Also submit a service request. New here are some resources to get you started. Of course, the township is growing. How to start a new business or how to move your business to West Lincoln, as well as the difference between storm drains and catch basins, and of course, municipal election information. Another example is event and programming promotion. This is something that you have definitely already seen on the Recreation Services Facebook page. So of course, promoting the West Lincoln Farmers Market, flag raising ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, the Harvest Roots event, summer camp, and the Canada Day giveaway. Celebrating successes and promoting pride. So these are just some examples of promotions that we could potentially do. So hashtag My West Lincoln, of course, the shop local promotions, things like Happy World Teachers Day, any kind of town messages for commemorative days such as that, donation drives, updates on the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital, and any kind of contests we put through that way. We can also increase awareness and engagement on things that are already happening. For example, we are now live streaming. This is something that we are already starting to promote on social media so people can get engaged with meetings, getting people to subscribe to Township News so they can keep track of what's happening, the council newsletter, things like Have Your Say. So currently the survey for the Smithville Master Community Plan is a great example of this. As well as Did You Know features that are currently available on our website, for example, the map of capital projects and reminders for other public meetings. So we've set some goals over the coming months, about 3 months. The goal is to get us up to about 2,000 likes and followers. That's comparable to other municipalities in West Niagara. To do approximately a minimum 3 posts per day, Monday through Friday. To be doing proactive communication, which gets ahead of any potential negative narratives or campaigns of disinformation, and to craft posts that grab attention, supply initial information, but then ultimately direct traffic back to the township website for more details. And then this is a really important tool that I found very helpful in previous situations, is setting up an automatic reply to inbox messages that refers all inquiries to the appropriate channels based on the topic. So if someone is messaging the township through Facebook, they will get an immediate reply that says, thank you for your message. If you're looking for this, go here. If you're looking for this, go here. So regardless of if that page is being monitored, there's an immediate response showing people where to go. And lastly, here are some ways that you can help. So in getting our goals, we need all the help we can get. So you can invite your friends to like or follow the Township of West Lincoln Facebook page, like, love, and engage with township posts, share posts from the township on your own channels, and even when you're corresponding or conversing with your constituents, remind them to check out all the township social media channels at TWP West Lincoln to stay up to date. That's basically all I have. So I am available for any questions you may have, and I will turn it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Odette, for that. Perfect. Neff, can you maybe stop sharing the screen if possible, and I can get the whole screen back? There we go.
No problem.
Thank you. So I can see everybody now. Thank you, Ms. Odette. So I'll move to members of committee. If any comments or questions, I saw Councillor Riley with his hand up. Go ahead, Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to say I think this is a fantastic direction the township's taking. I think, as you can all recall, the biggest, I think battle we have is trying to, prevent some of this misinformation that can kind of come out. And so by modernizing the way we communicate with the community while making it more accessible is only going to be beneficial for both the township and our residents. So I applaud staff for taking on this initiative and being able to even repurpose another account that was used for a different asset to really ensure that this information gets out as much as possible. And I think we'll see those followers grow. I can't see why not. Our community is growing and people want to be a part of a modern municipality. So this is, again, I think this is fantastic, just to repeat myself there. And I think there's a real step forward taking West Lincoln out of the Stone Ages. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor Gannon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that I really am pleased as well to see the connection to getting an immediate response, Beth, and then getting back to the website. I think we tell people all the time it's on the website, but people still don't really think to go there. But if it says on Facebook, in addition to everything else, that's a really good place to go to find that information, then I think that's going to be beneficial. It will.
Kind of lost you a little bit there, Councillor Gannon.
I think she froze.
You did freeze. We'll give it a second. Just give it a second, Mr. Mayor. Okay, go ahead.
Find information that they.
I think she's almost back.
She's almost back and froze again. Go ahead, Councillor Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor Boswell. Yeah, I'll go back to her when she gets some more. Connection. Go ahead.
More bandwidth. Okay, so and again, just reiterate what Councillor Riley, Councillor Gannon have said. Again, I think it's going to be a helpful tool, and just appreciate again what it's like having a communications specialist in our midst. So good work, Ms. Audette. That's all. I think Councillor Gannon is back now.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Gannon. I did lose you there a bit. If you want to start over, that'd be great.
Well, I probably don't need to start over, but generally and much faster this time, I really like that it's returning people to check the website. I think we have a lot of good information there that people are hesitant to check for whatever reason. If we are now using Facebook to help promote that as well for further information, I think that that's a good step as well.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Gannon. Anybody else comments or questions? I just have a few. It is a good tool that does help. Just a question to Ms. Odette. I guess there are members of this committee are a part of other groups in West Lincoln. Now, is your tool to kind of go, because a lot of stuff gets put on other groups. Obviously, we've seen many people, even staff, that get mentioned on these other groups. Is this tool sort of to kind of go there to kind of direct them back to this for information? Like how does that, or you just strongly just stick with this as our Facebook group, or do you kind of monitor it that way, or not at all? If you can maybe help me out with that.
No problem. Thank you for the question. To answer quite simply, we would have nothing to do with those Facebook groups.
Okay.
So all information would go directly on the township page, and ultimately the hope is that the more people get used to getting their information from the page, the less we're going to see those posts that are maybe not spreading correct information because they have already received the correct information from the township.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for that answer. Thank you, Ms.
No problem.
Any other members of the committee, any comments or questions? Seeing none, that's just for verbal information, so I don't need any support on that. So thank you, Ms. Odette. Thank you for that. I'll move on to A66-21, members of committee. Any verbal updates of members of committee? Seeing none, move on. A67-21, member of council. Any other business of informative nature? I saw Mr. Mayor's hand. Go ahead. And then Councillor Yonker, go ahead. After Mr.
Yeah, so I just wanted to briefly say that I also attended a seminar on, oh, come on now, I think it was Thursday. And it was a gentleman by the name of George Cuff, who was actually doing a bit of a webinar about the mayoral and CAO relationship. Found it very informative. So I will be hopefully having a meeting not only with Madam CAO, but with all of the councillors upcoming, and just as we I think tonight kind of marks 1 year to go left in this term in terms of the election anyways. So we just kind of see that we finished strong as a council. So I found there was some very interesting information in there, and I know that anytime we can improve our relationship, our efficiency, our residents benefit. So I just wanted to highlight that and say that was very an evening well spent.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Yonker?
Yeah, just a reminder to that on Thursday evening we have the West Lincoln Chamber of Commerce Award and awards, and hopefully everybody signed up to be present there and support our businesses, and looking forward to that evening. See who gets all the prizes, and should be an enjoyable time. So just
Great. Thank you, Councillor Yonker. Any other members of committee or council with any comments or questions? Okay, great. Seeing none, we have no new items of business. We have no confidential matters. So thank you, everybody. I will adjourn this meeting at the 7:03. Great. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Good night. Yeah.
Right.
good night, everyone.
Night.